Hello, my beautiful friends. I'm your host, Leah Rowling.
And I'm Carrie Kenzie. Welcome to Shift Happens. Discover the leader within. This podcast is designed to disrupt the way you live, lead, and love. At Shift, we challenge traditional narratives and believe that inner wisdom is the key to every decision.
Are you ready to explore a new paradigm of both living and leading? We'll dive deep into our innate strengths as women: compassion, curiosity, intuition, grace, vulnerability, and love. The shift, it's about to get real. Rediscover the power within and transform your life. Stay tuned. It all starts now.
Hello, everybody. Oh my gosh. Again, so excited, so honored to have you along this incredible ride with us on this podcast. Can we just have a breath for a moment? Because what a whirlwind. I don't know about you, but what a whirlwind these past few weeks have been. It feels like from Thanksgiving to Christmas, that time period just was a flash. It was a flash. So if we just take a moment to take a deep collective breath and just find ourselves in this space and, oh my gosh, just congratulate yourself for being in this moment. That's what I would say. Congratulate yourself for being in this moment. Because what we're going to do today is we're going to take a beautiful look back over 2024. We are going to just honor it for the gift that it has been, in all its craziness, in all of its ups and downs, and bring ourselves to a moment where we are going to have the ability to step into 2025 differently. Maybe differently than we stepped into this year. I know, I will say personally, I will be stepping into 2025 completely differently than I did stepping into this year. And that's the conversation we're excited to bring forward today. But I got to tell you, it takes an amount of just deep breath, putting yourself in a present moment to even be able to look back over the past year and allow it to be the gift, the celebration, the beauty that it has had the opportunity to be. Because in each individual moment, and I'm excited to share kind of my biggest takeaway from this year. And I'm so excited for Leah to give her biggest takeaway from this year. But in every moment, if we can give it the opportunity to truly be the energy of amazing, of possibility, of opening, that we have the opportunity to allow it to be, that is what's going to help us to propel forward into 2025, I think differently, maybe than we did even in this year. So today we're going to talk through kind of this glimpse back, this moment of what this has looked like, and bring you alongside, because Leah and I talked this morning. We're like, you know what? Let's just talk about our year. Let's talk about what has come forward and what we've learned and the trajectory. Because I know for me, a lot of times, just in hearing stories and hearing other people talk, I find the relatability and I'm like, oh, I didn't see that for myself. But us seeing it for ourselves might open that up for you. And then it will launch us into a beautiful conversation for next week. Leah, what do you think, love?
Well, I love this. I love this conversation. I love the exercise. I love the practice, because most of us, as we end a year, we're so giddy and we're so excited about what 2025 holds. And we look and we go into it with dreams and possibilities. And yet there's so much wisdom.
Yes.
That is behind us that we forget about, because either we thought it should have looked different, because maybe it didn't turn out exactly the way that you thought it would. Maybe you're bringing some frustrations to the end of the year and you just really want to just discount it, dismiss it, and just put it in the book so that you can move on. Right?
Yeah.
And whatever this year was for you, maybe you hit all your goals. Maybe you accomplished more than you thought you could. Congratulations. And maybe you feel like you fell short.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Mm-hmm.
Congratulations either way, because in either year, there's so much to look back on, to reflect around, and to pull intel from so that you can really begin to think about next year in a different way than you probably ever have. And so we were talking, as Carrie mentioned earlier, let's just talk about what we've navigated and what we thought. And maybe, just maybe, our our journey will help you reflect on yours and set
Mhm.
you up for 2025, which is what we're here for you for. And we're here to hold space for it and to celebrate you and to challenge you and to do all of the things that we do on this podcast. But with that, Carrie, what
Yeah.
when you think back over this past year, what is the first thing that comes to mind to you?
You know, it's interesting when you ask that question. I have like two things that come to mind, but actually, this is like way vulnerable moment, I'm going to say. The very first thing that comes to mind for me is in the beginning of this year, because this past, like you and I have talked, this past year and a half, 2 years have just been something. They have been something. The very first thing that comes to mind is a moment of complete breakdown. January, February, literally on my bedroom floor, just sobbing, just sobbing. And in those moments, it feels like there's absolutely no hope. It feels like I cannot take another kick. I can't, I'm done. Like I'm done. And that's the first thing when I think about the course of this year that comes to mind. But it is in no way, shape, or form the descriptor of this year, because that was the last time that happened, was in January or February of this year. And then everything started to change. Everything started to, I would say, open in a different way. Like I had an idea of what I thought 2024 was going to look like. I had an idea in January. I had a couple of ideas, Leah. I
Yep.
had a couple of ideas of what 2024 was going to look like. And none of it, I would say none of it, from what I thought was going to happen, what it was going to look like in January or February of this year, none of it is even in the periphery. Like it has no mark. It left no stamp. That's what I would say about that moment. It left no mark.
Mm.
Right. And the culmination then of everything that came after that was beautiful and incredible, and has allowed me to literally see, when I talk about that gift of every moment, I know it's hard. Believe me, sitting on the floor in all of those moments, there was no gift. I saw no gift. I now look back and go, thank God.
Mhm.
Where would I be if I didn't have that? Where would I be if I hadn't made that decision? And when I've allowed myself to open and to see that for myself, I honor every single decision that felt yucky and gross and like it was going to break me. I'm so grateful for all of those, because it allowed me to expand into something that I had absolutely no idea was possible. That's what comes to me. How about you?
Mm. Well, I, as you know, and maybe our listeners know, I'm a bit of a planner.
Just a little.
So I had my battle board all out. I had every month, and I had, the goals for those months, and I'm looking where it was, because it's no longer,
It's not? Yeah.
it's
I
not,
didn't
it's
know
not
that.
there. The new board is over here. I moved it, but what was on there, none of it, none of it came to fruition. It was like I
Mm.
had a really good plan. and the universe had a
Yeah.
different one. God, universe, it had a different one. And as we were talking this morning, when I look at that, before I moved it off to get ready
Mm-hmm.
to prepare and to bring space in for the new year, I I I I I looked at it and I kind of chuckled because I remember, like to your point, no moment was lost. I remember distinctly incredibly frustrated in probably May, June, July, because July was probably the pinnacle for me because it was half of the
Mm.
year and nothing
Yeah.
was done. Nothing was done. And I made that to mean that
Mm-hmm.
I was breaking integrity with myself, that I wasn't honoring goals on a board, that I wasn't doing, that my
Yeah.
best wasn't good enough.
Mm-hmm.
And as I thought
Mm-hmm.
about like what my best could look like and what was required for my best, why wasn't I showing up in a way that was allowing me to get these goals? And I mean, we've talked about it. I was incredibly frustrated. I was ready just to
Yeah.
throw in the towel. I was ready to just be like, I'm done. Like,
Yep.
not that this is not what I had in mind for my life. This is not what right? And every time I tried to get out, I was smacked upside the head. And I was like, nope, nope. You are going to stay course and it's going to be hard and it's going to be challenging and you're going to want to leave and you're going to want to abort. And that is the time that I'm asking you to trust, that I'm asking you to have faith in something that you cannot see. And what I realized in my chuckle literally a week ago when I took it down was in 2023, when I had made my plan for 2024, I set my goals based on what I thought I was capable of, what I thought I was able to do.
Mm-hmm.
And it was so small compared
Mm-hmm.
to the bigness that I'm called into,
Yeah.
that I know you're called into. And the bigness is kind of scary because it requires us to step way outside of what we normally do, what we can map out on a sheet, right? You can't
Mm-hmm.
put this on a board. It's
No.
too big for a board. So that was when I think back in complete frustration, complete
Yeah.
disgust. And now I can look back at it like, oh, this is funny. Like these goals were very cute. Very,
I,
they were very cute.
yeah. You and I had very similar experiences, and it was in kind of those time periods because we really had come together thinking that the future, the business, every idea that we had in that moment was exactly what we needed to do. And we set incredible metrics around it.
Yes, we
We
did.
thought those metrics were like, oh my gosh, they're conservative, but they're big. And can you imagine if this happened? And then when literally none of them
None,
happened,
none.
none. You sit and you question. And my question to what am I doing to block this? What's the limitation that I'm holding on to? Why is it that don't have the ability to be able to create this? Other people can do this. Other people can have these metrics. This isn't something that I haven't seen people do. What is it that I don't have within me? Why is it that I can't bring this to the table? Right. And you're right, because, oh my gosh, how many times did we say, it's just no option? Like, I would love to do. It's like, it'd be easier. It'd just be easier.
Uh-huh.
It's no option. We
Mm-mm.
really felt like, and it wasn't like we were locked into anything.
Nope.
We weren't locked into anything. You're never locked into anything, right? We just knew we were supposed to keep building forward. We just knew we were supposed to have kind of that faith, right?
Mhm.
That belief in something bigger. And what was beautiful when you said that, it was reminding me of a conversation we had when we were at our leadership retreat for the business a couple weeks ago, right?
Yeah.
And one of the gals was kind of questioning around belief and faith and believing in anything. And I said, like when you think about spirituality, I don't care, whatever you want to name it, the universe, God, whatever, because we talk about, having to have belief in something bigger than when you find yourself in these moments. I said, do you believe in possibility? And she was like, yeah. I said, then you believe in something bigger than you.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think we give that credit, because in believing in something bigger than you, you believe in the capability of you. You believe in the bigness of what it is that you potentially have the opportunity to bring forward. And that's what we've been called to all year.
Mm-hmm.
We've been called to believe in possibility and not put our own limitations around it based on what we knew. When you talked about 2023, right? And I put my board together for 2024, you did it based on what you knew.
Yep.
You did it based on what you were comfortable with, as we all do. That's exactly why I was sitting in this moment, because life sure as hell looked different in January, February than I thought it would.
Yep.
I had a completely different plan, and that was not it.
Uh-huh.
That was not it, right? But I think as we've gone through the year and we've allowed ourselves the opportunity to believe in that possibility has come forward to us in ways completely unexpected.
Mm-hmm.
You could not write it.
No.
You could not map it. You couldn't plan it. It was as random and coincidental as you would think. And it was so intentional,
Mm-hmm.
right? It was so intentional. When I sat with our COO, right, after we, kind of brought her on and she was hearing about the mission, she was like, oh my God, I'm in. Like, this is amazing. I'm in. And I sat down with her and I was like, okay, so you've heard all about this one side of things. I gotta talk to you about this other side. And I pulled forward a chart that you and I had made February, March,
Mm-hmm.
April, right? We kind of sat down and we plotted out just on a piece of paper the organizational chart of the mission. Can we call it that? I think that's really what we created, right?
That's
the
what it was. Yeah.
Chart of the mission.
Yep.
And we had down these different extensions and these different buckets. And this was like a big 5-year, 10-year plan, right?
Yep.
Where we were like, this mission, this is where we want it to be, right here. And I pulled this up in front of her and I stopped in my tracks and I was like, oh my God. She goes, what? And I said, well, when the universe asks you to create a vision board and you don't realize that's what you did, and it all comes to fruition. Literally, Leah, if we go back and we look at that organizational chart of the mission, there's very few buckets that haven't been touched.
Very few.
In a very, very short time period. And we did not we didn't have plotted smart goals to make this happen.
No.
We held it loosely. So when we were talking this morning, we were talking about the battle board, because I remember coming to your house.
Yep.
And we pulled the white paper out and we had the markers and we were like charting and metricing all the things, and none of it.
None of it.
But you go back and you look at this organizational chart of the mission and all of it.
Uh-huh.
And what was shown to me is it's because we placed limitations and parameters in metrics on a battle board.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't give it space to breathe.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't give it space to be creative and be coincidental and allow the universe to just drop things in. But the vision did.
Mm-hmm.
The mission did. It was like it gave it so much space to be able to expand into. I don't know. So when I look back over this year, that's probably one of the things that I'm going to take away is this constant view of this organizational mission and how that just pulled forward so easily.
Mm-hmm.
Just, I mean, you and I would look at each other how many times and go, you literally cannot make this up. Like, and you started taking like notes every day of
Mm-hmm.
like all the ways,
Mm-hmm.
every way that it would just show up.
Yep.
It would just show up. That's one of the things. I've got another one, but what would you say for you when you look back over this year?
I would say in all of that, again, it kind of echoes the belief, it echoes the faith, it echoes this idea of being able to believe in something that one, you've got no business believing in, but just holding
Yes.
space to trust that it's all happening in your favor, even though sometimes it feels like it isn't.
Yeah.
And so in that, this idea of vision and to those that are listening, what we're not saying is we're not saying throw your metrics out the window. That's not what we're saying. But
No.
but what if you held space for them to just be what they are and allow space for them to be what they were meant to be? And so
Mm.
that would be what I would just propose back, because I think having numbers, I think understanding what your numbers are, being held accountable to numbers for yourself and for your teams is really important, because it allows people to feel purposeful and to feel as if they are making progress in their life, but to also have space for things to just organically show up and delight you, is what I would say to that. Be
Yeah.
open to that.
And like you hold it loosely,
Hmm.
right? Because we had the metrics.
Hmm.
We had all the metrics and we didn't meet any of them,
No.
right? But to hold that in a space of, like you say, belief,
Hmm.
confidence, and allowance
Yeah.
without beating yourself up, placing limitations around yourself, throwing in the towel because it's not working.
Right.
But when you have kind of that purpose, and we talk a lot about this, right?
Hmm.
When you have that purpose, when you have that vision of what it's meant to be, and you just keep moving forward in that, then even when some of the metrics don't fall into place, because they don't always, right?
Hmm.
You can consistently measure yourself into the mission and into the progress of the mission and into the progress of the purpose. And sometimes those metrics need to be adjusted,
Hmm.
and that's okay,
Yeah.
right? Because as long as and we've seen this too, like we've come, whoa, have we completely adjusted metrics? We've completely adjusted expectations consistently. Like every week, something changes.
Every
We're like,
day.
I didn't realize that wasn't, what do you mean I don't get to do that any, right? Like,
Uh-huh.
so many things we've had to navigate. But when you consistently hold to that purpose, to that mission, to that vision of what you have, and you allow, then you do get to shift and you do get to open up different metrics and you do get to have the opportunity kind of to come together and go, what's working, what's not working, and how do we really move this forward? How do I move this forward?
Hmm.
Not just in business, but personally too, right? Because there's so much, I think, even personally, that we place too much. We're heading into January, and how many people are going to set some form of intention around their body or their weight or their health or something like that, and they place a metric to it, and they don't meet it within the first month, and then they bail and they jump ship, right?
Yeah.
Well, if you get down to intention, if I think
Mhm.
they say, isn't it like by January 16th, 92% of all New Year's resolutions are out the window?
Yep. Yep.
Crazy to
And
me. Because we
yeah.
place metrics around them, and then the metrics doesn't happen, and we go, we throw in the towel.
Yeah. So this is just what came to me, and I think it's a beautiful way to pull all this together, is that the metrics are amazing, but more than the metrics is the belief.
Yes.
Is the belief. Because what happens is when you hold steadfast to that belief, the belief in the mission, right? As if you have no doubts that it's possible, as if it's already done, as if someone said that if you could see what I could see,
Mm.
you would never doubt again. If you could see that your mission is complete, it's done, whatever it is for you, whether it's weight loss, whether it's personal, professional, whatever goal you got for yourself, if you could believe and work on the belief of knowing that it is good as done, there isn't anything that you wouldn't do. You would never doubt the mission. You might just doubt the way that you thought you were going to get there. Like, I thought it was going to look like this. I was wrong about that. Never the mission, never the heart of whatever it is that you desire. Whatever's in you is available, and it's done. Let Carrie and I be the first ones to tell you we've seen it, it's done. You just have to believe it. And if you believe it, that is the work that you need to do. If you don't, but if you believe it, then you just continue to be open to what's next. And you shift and you pivot, and you can think it could go this way. But like all of our metrics, none of the deliverables that we had metrics to are actually the deliverables. So, and again, if we got all caught up in this has to be the delivery and this has to be the metric, we would miss out on the beautiful business that we've been able to build and create by being open to what the universe, God, was putting in our path. Pretty much just waiting for us to trip on, because a lot of them we had to trip on, like, and stumble and fall. What is this in our way? Oh, I'm sorry. It's a gift, right? That you didn't see until now. So anyway, that is what I would have to say about that.
I love it. I love it. And I really think it takes an incredible amount of presence, of deep breathing, and of courage to really be able to look back over this past year and see it for the brilliance and the beauty and the gift that it is. Because and I know people tell you this, and I know you've heard this before, but I'm going to say it again, because at some point, believe me, you will catch a glimpse of something and you'll be like, oh my gosh. But every moment has brought you exactly into this space. Every moment has built you into the person that you currently are. Every moment is efforting to show you the courage and the confidence and the capability and the possibility and the opportunities that lie in front of you. And everything that has had to be released this year, because I know there's a lot, expectations, relationships, there's just a lot that maybe had to be let go this year. Everything that has been let go of has been in the beautiful opportunity for you to be able to step forward into the big, bold, amazing soul human that you are. And that's the gift that you have the opportunity to bring forward into 2025. So I would say between now and next week, we're hitting a new year, right? So this is all the rage. It's all the conversation. Just take a few moments, take a few deep breaths, really allow yourself to look back over this last year and connect the dots of the brilliance, connect the dots of the opportunities, and then allow that to be what becomes the foundation and the guide for you to step forward into 2025. We appreciate you. We love you so much, and we are so grateful to have you on this journey with us. Until next week, friends, make it amazing.
You have been listening to Shift Happens. Discover the Leader Within with Leah Rowling and Carrie Kenzie, where we help you reconnect with your inner leader. Learn to trust your instincts and live with authenticity and confidence.
Tune in every Friday at 11 a.m. Central Time to Shift Happens on Transformation Talk Radio for more insights, inspiration, and actionable strategies to live and lead, not only in purpose, but on purpose. It is time to embrace a life and leadership style that is true to you. For more information, visit shift.life.